Welcome to part 2 of our 2019 half-term report. Now, in the first part, we obviously talked about the bottom 5 teams in the first 12 races in the Formula 1 Championship racing stands in 2019. Now, we both give 7 out of 10 for the season. Lewis Hamilton, of course, impressing, leading the World Championship. Max Verstappen, a real diamond in the rough at Red Bull Racing, really going on a bit of a solo charge in the Austrian team. Ferrari's really lacking in pace. Midfield battles, not many, but there is signs that there is going to be some to come in the future. Williams at the back, as always. And as I say, 7 out of 10, there is definitely room to improve and hopefully make it a good second part of the season. So as I just said then, for part 1, we did talk about the bottom 5 teams. We talked about Williams, we talked about Haas, Alfa Romeo, and the biggest one was Toro Rosso, see, with their change and the news that came out over the summer. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 teams. That's where we're going to be talking about McLaren, Renault, Red Bull Racing, Ferrari and Mercedes. Some big teams, some big drivers, and who has impressed us the most this season. And I'm going to kick this thing off by talking about the British-based team of McLaren. Now, they came into Formula 1 this year after signing some 2 of probably the most amazing drivers to start this season. Carlos Sainz, the ex-Toro Rosso, the ex-Renault driver, to start alongside 19-year-old, so the youngest driver on the grid, Lando Norris from Cheltenham. A really, really great pairing in Formula 1. So obviously British-based team, a British driver, and the Spaniard that we all know and love, and that's not Fernando Alonso. So yes, pre-season, as I saw, pre-season friendly there. Pre-season friendly was good from McLaren, and it all kicked off in Australia. Some good results by the 2 drivers, mainly Lando and Norris, but Carlos Sainz really pulling that across. And the teammate battles, really are very spicy all the way to the bitter end. So in the qualifying stats, Lando Norris has the lead of 8 over 4 from Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz has the edge though in race performances, though he has outperformed Lando Norris 9 times and 3 Ks of Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz heads up his teammate by almost over double the points that Lando has. Carlos sits in 58 points with Lando in 24. Lando has more Q3 appearances with 8 over Carlos Sainz 7. But Lando Norris has 3 DNFs with Carlos in 1. So it's a really, really tight ship there. Some great battles from them. Silverstone in a very impressive race from them. Obviously, me and John were there to see that. Loving that the progress that McLaren are making. The first team to actually sign both of their drivers for this year. Doing some really good progress. Carlos Sainz, a really, really impressive driver from this year. That's why we gave him the grade of A, which is the first A, I believe, that we've actually given out today. So well done, Carlos Sainz. That is a really good performance. As I say, 9 race out performances over Lando Norris is really something special, and obviously only 1 DNF. That's been good from them. Lando Norris, it's a good performance by him. 3 retirements with 1 coming, I believe, in China. Wasn't the best, but I'll say a very good performance in Silverstone, his home race. He gets a grade of B. So that's good. So good from Lando, as I say, only 19 years old. Both have been signed by McLaren for next season, the first team to do that. Lando, a really funny guy. You know, we all love him. We all love to see him in the paddock. And yes, really great character. And I think they're an amazing pairing. So obviously, Jordan, your team, McLaren, Lando. I know you're a big Lando fan. Carlos Sainz, you know, we all love Carlos Sainz, nothing really to go wrong with him. Fernando Alonso 2.0, you could say, or is that for Lando Norris? But nevertheless, McLaren are really good. And one last thing, they never take themselves too seriously as well. That's what I love about both of them as a driver. They never take themselves too seriously. They're always joking on. If you've watched like Grill the Grids and things like that, they never take themselves seriously. Lando still thinks he's like a little baby driver or something. It's quite impressive. And that's what I think makes them really good. It's kind of they're so chilled. They don't really even. I don't even think they know that it's a Formula 1 weekend or it's even that important. But obviously they do that. They do the talking on track, and it really does pay off. So the Jordan, the team from Woking, your team, Lando and Carlos. Really impressed by them in terms of in terms of what to improve on. For me, I would say nothing. I hope Lando does better in the races, obviously bringing the fight to Carlos Sainz, but they're both signed for next year, so they've really got not much to fight for. A good, strong 5th place in the Constructors, and yes, I'm very impressed to see what they can do. So obviously your team, how are you impressed by your 2 drivers?
I'm very, very impressed with McLaren this season. The start of 2018 was pretty good, and then the form just kind of dipped, and then there was no recovering from there. And the end of 2018, it was abysmal. I think only Williams was slower than McLaren at the time, and then if you remember, I think Alonso finished in 5th or 6th in Australia, and then he came off with that famous message, "We can now fight." Yeah, against the Williams. But then coming into 2019, I keep saying we, McLaren. It was a bit of a shaky start. If you remember, Carlos Sainz got that retirement in Australia. They had an engine failure. I think he was the first retirement of the season, and then he also, or the second retirement. I don't know if Ricciardo retired first. But then you also had Lando Norris impressing in qualifying. I think he got into Q3, didn't he, in Australia? But then he didn't really find the results in the race. And then coming into Bahrain, I think he finished in 6th place, which was brilliant. His second ever race in Formula One. That's really, really good. And then Carlos Sainz having another retirement, and then a 14th place in the next race in China, before then finally kicking off his season in Azerbaijan. And then ever since then for Sainz, it's just been plain sailing. He's been doing brilliant, and he's even outscored Gasly by like 4 or 5 points overall this season from Azerbaijan, Carlos Sainz didn't score any points in the first 3 races, and he was in a lot slower car, a very slower car than the Red Bull. So that just proves how good Sainz has been and how poor Gasly has been doing this season. I think Carlos Sainz in 7th place, Lando Norris in 10th place in the standings. A for Carlos Sainz, B for Lando Norris. Pretty straightforward in my opinion. What have I personally been impressed with? The team, the drivers, everything around them. The new team principal is Andreas Seidel, I think you pronounce it, or Siddle. I'm not too sure how you pronounce it. I will get used to it though. I'm so excited for the future of McLaren. Good start of the season. I'm even more excited for the second part of the season. The only way is up for me. 4th place, ideal, definitely ideal for McLaren, and for the team I support. 3rd place is out of reach. It's very unrealistic. If I was to say let's go for 3rd place, unless Red Bull have an absolutely catastrophic, second part of the season, which they won't, then McLaren won't be getting a sniff at 3rd place. 4th place, absolutely solid job. Both the drivers line up, Sainz and Norris, brilliant, absolutely incredible for that. Can't wait to see what the future holds for the team from Woking. Come on, boys, let's carry this form.
It's coming home.
So the next. Oh, don't start this again. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is Renault. Now, when I say Renault, I'm thinking of what could have been for Renault. 2018 was a very, very good year for them, finished in 4th place. They just pipped, was it Haas to 4th place, I believe? Was it last season? I think it was. Just pipped them to 4th place. Solid job from Renault, cementing themselves as a very top-end midfield team, knocking on the door for that top 3. And everyone thought, or most people thought, that they were going to be in contention with podiums and knocking on, for that top 6 place in terms of drivers and top 3 places in the team. And it's just that hasn't just been the case, has it? It's been a very, very poor 2019 for Renault. 6th place, 39 points. Not good from either driver. To be fair, the drivers have been quite good, but the car itself does need improving. I think Ricciardo in his first 4 races had 3 retirements in 1 point scoring position. I think he got 7th place in China, I think it was. So that just proves in itself as to how bad the team has been. And if you remember that weird double DNF that they had back in Bahrain, I mean, what? Saving grace for Charles Leclerc, if you remember that one, because he could have been out of podium position if those 2 drivers didn't have a double DNF at the same time. Electrical fault, weird, and of course brought out the safety car, saving Charles Leclerc's plums. So we're going to give them the Renault drivers double Ds. Not literally, of course. We're going to give Nico Hülkenberg a D and Daniel Ricciardo a D. Are we being too generous? Probably, because in terms of their performance, they could be doing a lot better performances. However, the drivers themselves, we do rate them highly, but it's more down to the car as to how they've been doing, why they've been doing badly this season. So the results in terms of head-to-head currently stand at Daniel Ricciardo's 8-4 in qualifying, 7-5 to Ricciardo in the race, 22 points to Ricciardo, and 17 points to Nico Hulkenberg. Currently in the standings. So like, yeah, Daniel Ricciardo first season at Renault, not where he wanted to be at all. Will he be kicking himself that he left Red Bull? Probably in private. Hulkenberg, like, it's just been a fairly average season for the German, hasn't it? Could have got a podium in Germany, could have, would have, should have, like it has been for that majority of his career so far in Formula 1. Best position has been in 7th place. He's finished there twice, in Austria and Canada. Daniel Ricciardo's his best position has been in 6th place in Canada. So, like, good performances there in Canada, 6th and 7th. That's where the ball should have been start to roll. Okay, Renault are back. And they haven't been that. They haven't been that way at all. It's been very, very disappointing. Where do they need to improve? The car, massively. Need to be more consistent, need to be more reliable. I think Renault are bringing upgrades to Belgium are bringing engine upgrades to Belgium, so let's see how they do. But McLaren, and an engine customer, are beating the manufacturer, beating the manufacturer team, who should be in P4 and a lot closer to Red Bull. So yeah, a pretty embarrassing season for Renault. If you are a Renault fan, let us know your opinions about your season in the comment section below, because I'm really interested. I'm really am intrigued to hear as to what you Renault fans think. What your season has been like so far this season. Lyle, Renault as a whole, talk me through it. What's your opinions? It hasn't been good, has it? It hasn't been good at all.
No, not at all.
No.
In terms of Daniel Ricciardo's move, obviously, if he hadn't left Red Bull, then maybe none of this would have happened. All this trading place would have happened. But he's one of the best things that Renault could have got. Nico Hulkenberg, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Roman Grosjean in the way that when Haas were formed in 2016, Roman was there, he was consistent for the team and he wasn't doing any amazing performances, but the team put a lot of faith in him. Okay, he's a solid driver, he's been in Formula 1 for a few years and he knows how to run this team properly. And obviously Roman was never there on the money, he was always just supporting the team in points or good finishes. And that's a little bit like Nico Hulkenberg. Nico's been there since, obviously, he was at his best part, or his main part of his Formula 1 career was obviously at Force India. Then he came to Renault and it was kind of, right, we'll put all of our eggs in Nico's basket and we'll give him the support that he needs. And he's the one that's going to be supporting the team. Julian Palmer could never go up to Nico Hulkenberg's standards. Carlos Sainz, never really, but obviously he was never really a Renault driver properly. He had to go somewhere that wasn't Red Bull. And then obviously now it's Daniel Ricciardo, who it should have been a really good performance, and it hasn't. It's been good head to head, but obviously Renault haven't got the performances as a whole. But as we said in the predictions, Jordan, is that Nico Hulkenberg, I think next year is his last season, because as I just said there with Roman Grosjean, they're putting all the eggs in his basket, and they did that with Roman last year. It didn't go. If you've seen the Netflix documentary, it said it in that. Roman wasn't performing properly. So, all the eggs fell out of his basket for this year, and then Roman's going to be out of a seat next year. And then I think that's happening to Nico, but 1 year later. They put all of his eggs are in the basket this year. The eggs could be falling out for next year, and then Nico could be out of a season for 2021. Just because I'm thinking though, like, Renault will put all their trust in Nico, but as I say, it is running out.
Yeah, go on, sir. I think they're going to be. I think they did have their trust in Nico, but now that's kind of like fell apart.
Yeah.
Now it's all on Ricciardo's shoulders now. He's beaten Hulkenberg clearly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In his first season at Renault, there is rumours. There is no confirmation at the time of recording, but there is rumours that Ocon's going to Renault for a 2-year deal and sending Hulkenberg to Haas. Which, right, okay, at least Hulkenberg's still in the seat. But Haas aren't a team that's going to be challenging for the podiums anytime
But there we
soon.
go. I've just said though that that Grosjean is like Hulkenberg, and if Hulkenberg goes to Haas, it'll be exactly like Hulkenberg. It's running out for him. But I do like Nico as a driver, but obviously it is running out. As I said to Jordan, it's crazy to think that we've got all this competition at Red Bull, and the only thing Nico has on his Formula 1 CV is one pole position with Williams in 2010. Le Mans is not a Formula 1 event. The only thing he has in his Formula 1 credentials is one pole position. It's kind of crazy, really. Daniel Ricciardo, he came here. His mindset is better. So obviously that's the only way we can actually support his move. A good result, I think. Canada, he got some good qualifying there. Obviously both in the top 10, showing that he has got the pace, he has got the charisma to have a good race in that Renault. But obviously the car is just not on pace at all. I do think that he should have stayed at Red Bull. I do think he was a strong Red Bull driver. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Mark Webber in the way that he isn't going to win a world championship, I don't think, in the rest of his career. Sorry, Danny Rick, but this season it has been okay for Daniel Ricciardo. Renault as a whole just not really on the button. In terms of the Haas battle that they were in last year, obviously of course they are blowing Haas out of the water completely. Obviously Haas are nowhere near. Strong from them. I think they're 5th or 6th or something in the world in the constructors. Not bad from them. Especially with how tight it is in the main field. McLaren are their next main rivals, even though I do think they're being jumped by Toro Rosso actually after the Hungarian Grand Prix. So it is hard for them, but yes, I think that Renault will get it together next year. As what Jordan just said about Esteban Ocon, I say nothing confirmed yet. A lot of people do want him, which is quite promising, really, because that French driver when he was at Racing Point didn't seem that anyone really wanted him in Formula 1 anymore. But now that Toto Wolff let him off the Mercedes hook, everyone wants him. Haas, Williams, Renault, everyone wants him. It's absolutely crazy. Renault in terms of performing, again, just watching their aerodynamical upgrade, things like that. Nico Hülkenberg, I really hope that he gets a podium this year, because if he doesn't, that could be goodbye Nico Hülkenberg, especially as John just said with Esteban Ocon, but obviously nothing is confirmed yet. Let me know in the comments about Nico Hülkenberg, because he is a very hot topic, and I don't just mean how good he is looking, it's about his driving.
True.
Yes. So the next team that we're going to talk about is the big one. I know I said that about Toro Rosso yesterday, but this is the big one for today, and of course it is Red Bull Racing. Now, I'm not going to go into it for a third or a billionth time. I'm just going to say what happened. Trading Places Part 2, that's it. That's me done. I'm not going to mention it for the rest of the season, I swear. But now it stands as Max Verstappen and Alex Albon for the second part of the season. But we are going to be talking about the first part, which of course was the French driver of Pierre Gasly. Now he was signed at a bit of an impulse because the man who we just talked about previously went to Renault. He was brought in to partner Max Verstappen, and I was very excited about the French prospect. Like I was with Fiat, even though what I avoided with Fiat in terms of buying his merchandise, I did with Gasly, when I knew that he'd survived past the Russian Grand Prix, or the Spanish Grand Prix even, which Fiat didn't. So Pierre Gasly, I did have a lot of hope for him. Of course, all my eggs were in Max Verstappen's basket, and of course they will be. He is the one who will win Red Bull the World Championship. I wasn't expecting that this season, but I was expecting some big things from him. I was expecting a second place from Max and a second place in the Constructors. It's looking like it might be getting to that stage, but for the first part of the season, it got off to a bumpy start. I would only say after the Monaco Grand Prix, kind of Canadian Grand Prix-esque, it started to pick up for Red Bull and Max. He stormed to an incredible win at the Austrian Grand Prix. Amazing, definitely his best win so far. I would even say one of, if not the best win of his career. Nothing will beat, of course, Spain 2016, but I think second place is going to be Austria 2019. Incredible, especially after he bogged down at the start of the race. Really incredible from him. Amazing performance as well in Germany in the best race of the season, voted maybe, possibly, and of course at the Hungarian Grand Prix. A win that should have been his, but as John said before, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and Mercedes definitely got it right. In terms of statistics against him and Pierre Gasly, it is 11-1 in qualifying to the Dutchman. It is also 11-1 in the races and 5-0 in podiums. Max definitely supporting the team when Pierre didn't. It does also comes back to, if Pierre couldn't get the race wins or anything like that, a bit like what we said about Charles Leclerc, it doesn't matter about the race wins as long as you can support the team. We're not talking about Ferrari yet, but for example, Charles Leclerc did. If anything, that's what kept Kimi Raikkonen at Ferrari, isn't it? Kimi Raikkonen didn't have to win a race, and he didn't for, what, 3-ish years, 3.5 years before he won in Austin. The word that we couldn't say yesterday.
Couldn't get it right.
Yeah, so Kimi didn't have to win, did he? He didn't have, in those 115 races, he didn't have to win. But what he did have to do is support the team, be on the podium, second place, third place, fourth place, and that's what Leclerc is doing this year. It's not what Gasly's doing, because I say 0 podiums, that just shows that he's not supporting the team at all. The highest he's got was 4th place and the fastest lap at the Chinese Grand Prix, including Silverstone FP1 and Hungary FP1, I believe, P1, but I'm not allowed to say that anymore because that means nothing. That's like a primary school participation medal. It means nothing. So yes, Pierre Gasly not supporting the team at all. In terms of points, it is 63 points to Pierre and 181 for Max Verstappen. Max is scratching the door, knocking at the door at Valtteri Bottas's 2nd place. In the next few rounds, I do believe that Max will get there. I've got Max locked in 2nd place, which I think is fantastic if he does get that. 63 points for Pierre Gasly. I think he's 7th position, something like that, in the World Championship, 6, I believe. That's not good from him. Yeah. And of course, that number is not going to excel because he is now at Toro Rosso. DNFs as well. Pierre Gasly has 1 and Max has none. Now, DNFs, of course, can be caused by just the car. Not really driver error, but it shows that Max is the strongest driver. He gets the best out of the car, e.g. not retiring. Max, incredible season, and that's why we're going to give him today an A, even though it's an A, but it's a 79.9 A, if 80 is the A. He's scratching at the door of an A star, especially in the last few races. I would say kind of Australia to Monaco, average. Obviously, Monaco, not a very good track for Max, but then afterwards, Canada, Austria after that. So yeah, if I had to break it down, I'd say probably a B from Australia to Monaco, and then from Canada to Hungary, an A star, and that rounds out an A. Because I've been very impressed by Max's second part of the season, and again, like Ferrari, if he did that all the way through the season, he could be for sure in 2nd place in the drivers. Pierre Gasly, as I just said, they're not supporting the team. He is going to get the grade of an F. Something that Jordan frequented in school. No, I'm just joking. Yes, not good from Gasly. I think the main thing was he just wasn't there to support the team. Points he has got, that's about 1/3 of what Max Verstappen has in terms of points. Not good for him. I just want to mention quickly about the train places thing. Obviously, we did talk yesterday about the Toro Rosso, about how Albon had more points than Kvyat. Sorry, Kvyat had more points than Albon. Albon was getting promoted and Kvyat wasn't. But in this, of course, there's no point about demotion. Max would never get demoted, but there is no better view. You can see right in front of you why Pierre is not there. Against Max, he is not. We're not saying that Albon's going to be beating Max or anything like that, but we can see by Pierre's results that they are absolutely nowhere. And as I said in the other episode about the train places, the main thing that Red Bull need is somebody to support the team and to support Max. Because Red Bull are locked in 3rd place. If they had somebody stronger, and I even want to say, Jordan, even if they had Ricciardo, they could be possibly in 2nd place challenging Ferrari. But I don't really know. 4th place, they have to avoid 4th place. They're probably not going to catch Ferrari, even though they would absolutely love to. But as I say, the best thing is just somebody to support Max. Because in the scale of it, we said Leclerc was going to be outside of Vettel's kind of reach. Leclerc's actually inside Vettel's reach, and Gasly was the one out. So Red Bull this season, strong, good, train places, you've done it at the best time, you've probably done the best decision now that I've thought about, now that I've had more time to calm down, even though I did think Gasly was a strong driver, especially looking at the results, you saw that he just wasn't anywhere. Verstappen, amazing, Gasly nowhere, but the team's progression, I do believe it's great. And Jordan, as I said, with Toro Rosso yesterday, Honda is an amazing. McLaren, what the hell what are you mourning about? Fernando Alonso, where are you right now? And what are you going on about? Because Honda are great. What was your problem with Honda? Come on. So yes, Honda, amazing. McLaren just blowing smoke. And yes, Honda really, really good. As I say, Max Verstappen's win in Austria was the first time Honda were on the podium since Hungary 2006 with a certain Jenson Button. So Jordan, yes, Red Bull Racing, Max and Gasly. Yes, how do you think that they're getting on? Obviously, Max Verstappen, the prodigal son, bringing everyone to the Dutch Grand Prix next year, bringing everyone to the Belgian Grand Prix, and Pierre Gasly, the man the FP1 Meister, if you like, and the team from Milton Keynes. How do you think their first part of the season's gone, and how can they improve, if any, with the second part of the season? There's only 2 teams that are going to have new drivers, and Red Bull are one of them. They are scrapping their French driver and bringing in the new Thailand driver who was born and raised in London, so very much British as well. First British driver first Actually, no, scrap that. David Coulthard. So he's a second British driver at Red Bull. And I'm very excited to see what they can do. So yes, how is the team going to progress? How is Max going to progress? And how is Albon going to fit into his new seat now that the Frenchman has gone?
I've been very impressed with Red Bull, only on one side of the grid, on one side of the garage, sorry. Because Verstappen, for me, I'll start with Verstappen. Verstappen this season has been absolutely brilliant. Very consistent, kept out of trouble. I think he hasn't been involved in an accident at all this season, as far as I'm aware anyway. And then, this run continues on to Belgium last season, when he started this really good, consistent, this very good, consistent run. He had DNF in Hungary, 2018, and ever since then, he's just been in the points, and it's been so impressive.
Yes, Verstappen has never been outside the top 5 since, as John said, Belgium 2018. So he's been inside the top 5, including 4 of his 8 wins since Belgium last year. So it's been really impressive by him. So yes, Verstappen stat attack, many stat attacks.
Mini stat attack for you. Exactly. We're full of stats today, aren't we, guys? Yeah, I mean, like what Lyle said there. I mean, four wins since that race last season at Belgium. And I mean, to be fair, who did anyone really expect Verstappen to win this season? Because I was a bit unsure what Honda would be giving Red Bull, because we've never seen Honda at the front of the grid in the V6 era. We're seeing their time with McLaren. We're seeing a little bit of them with Toro Rosso, more reliable, but we weren't really fully sure. And I was saying that Red Bull's either going to be the front of the midfield or the end of the top 3. I don't really know where they're going to be. And at this moment, I think they could have well been ahead of Ferrari at this stage if they had another driver in that seat. For example, what Lyle mentioned before in Daniel Ricciardo. I personally believe if Ricciardo was still there, Red Bull would be in second place, definitely, and would have avoided all this, kerfuffle about drivers leaving and swapping with the drivers in the same business. And Verstappen is just a guy in fine form. He isn't too far away from Valtteri Bottas. If he can finish in second place, wow, that would be so impressive. Even being in the top 3, that's very impressive from Max. And for me, he's definitely. I've even said this all season long. He's one of my drivers of the season. Definitely contention for that driver of the season award when we do our awards in. It'll be December later on this year. So hopefully you'll be sticking around for them. For me, Verstappen, keep doing what you're doing. He will win more races from now to the end of the season. Guy in fine form. Who will stop him? Who will stop him? Who will Max Verstappen? But now on the other end of the garage, Pierre Gasly. Where do we even begin with Pierre Gasly? It's been abysmal, hasn't it, for Gasly? Pre-season testing, the pressure was on from the very beginning. Crashing in testing, the pressure was on from then on in. The season started. It was a bit off the pace, but it was like, all right, we'll let him develop. We'll let him, kick back, relax into his seat. And that he never really fulfilled, the dream, if you like, for Pierre Gasly to be able to drive that Red Bull to get podiums, to get race wins. It just hasn't happened for him. His best place has been P4 in Silverstone, and we were there, and he only got that because of what happened with Max and Seb. So, I mean, to be fair, he was on pace for the majority of the weekend when we were there. But since then, and before and after that, nothing. So demotion. Gasly's got a lot to do if he wants to get back in that Red Bull seat. Very unlikely he will do so, but never say never in Formula One. Look at Daniel Kvyat, who thought he would be back in Formula One. But of course, what he has got going for him is that Red Bull are limited on drivers who they can employ, because their driver program is a bit dried up. But I do have a really good prediction that I'm going to keep for next season as to who I think will end up in that Red Bull seat next season, because it's a surprising little triangle I've got going on, which I'm 90% sure will.
Is that like that little prediction that all the fans of the F1 debate will have to wait for next year, which is my prediction about who's going to go to Alfa Romeo next year?
In my prediction is saying that your prediction is going to be wrong. So
there could be some F1 debate rivalry there, guys. I would definitely I'll definitely stay tuned just to hear what that is.
it is pretty good. So where about Red Bull? So Max Verstappen in P3. Impressed with Honda. Of course, Honda have been so reliable this season. I think they had one DNF, and that was in Azerbaijan with Pierre Gasly. So they have been very consistent. The car, the speed is there, definitely been very, very impressive. Austria, amazing speed. Hungary as well, they had Max Verstappen in his first pole position. So you couldn't get a pole position with Renault, but he gets one with Honda. What does that tell you guys? Obviously, Lau's been through this. That's with Red Bull, and obviously been through the grid. And so that's my final saying Red Bull. Long may it continue for them. Verstappen will continue this fine form. Albon, what can he do for the remaining 9 races? He's definitely a one to watch for the remainder of the season. So next up, it's Ferrari. Now, I'm starting off very depressing with my past 2 teams I've introduced, because Renault was supposed to be up there and they're not. Ferrari should have been up there, they are, but not where they wanted to be, if you know what I mean. Pre-season testing rolls round. Ferrari, wow, they look quick. They have a very good quick car. New matte livery. Matte's supposed to be a lot lighter than shiny paint or gloss paint or whatever they use. So they're trying to save a few grams there. New driver lineup. New driver lineup with Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc, good driver, brilliant season in Formula One. His first year with Sauber, and then he got Sauber's old name wrong, if you know what I mean by that. Had a good season, won the championship in 2017 in Formula 2. So coming in very positively in Formula 1, a hot prospect. Vettel missed out on the championship last season due to his own cause. He has to rebuild on that. They're coming to pre-season, looking very quick. Coming in Australia, and probably about 100 of them horses were left behind in Maranello because they had no power at all. I don't know what had happened. They were like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, on the plane to Melbourne. Okay, we've left 100 horses all the way back in the team, but what do we do now? We'll just it'll be okay, guys. It'll be okay. We're about half a second faster than Mercedes. No, you're about a second slower than Mercedes in Australia, guys. So that was how bad they were, and they never found that form. And Bahrain, they were there, very unlucky for Leclerc not to win that Grand Prix. Vettel, releasing his inner ice skating fandom, if you want to call it that, with his spinning all the time, just off he goes again.
Oh god.
And I'm distracted where I'm at. Oh yeah, so and then Charles Leclerc very very unlucky not to win the Austrian Grand Prix. A good old tussle with Max Verstappen in that race as well. So Leclerc will win a Grand Prix this season. I can guarantee that. When, I don't know. The next 2 races in Bahrain and Italy. Behave, man. Shut up. Belgium and Italy, man.
Bahrain.
Wow. Well, we're going back in time now, guys. Belgium and Italy. Those 2 tracks should favour that Ferrari car very, very well. So let's see how they do. So yeah. So we're going to be grading the drivers. 2 seconds. I've lost my grade.
Nice one.
We're going to give Sebastian Vettel a C and Charles Leclerc a B. I know what you're thinking. Well, hang on a minute. Why is Sebastian Vettel got a higher grade? Sorry, why has Leclerc got a higher grade than Sebastian Vettel, and Vettel's higher in the standings? But if you think about it, how many pole positions has Sebastian Vettel had this season? None. How many has Leclerc had? 2. Well, so what does that tell you? On a 1-lap pace, he's very, very good. Race pace, the car just seems as like I said, the horses just seem to disappear. I don't know where they're going. So Vettel's stats this season so far: 6 podiums, 69 laps in the lead. So obviously he's completed 69 laps in the lead. But compare that to Charles Leclerc, who's in 5th place in the standings, 5 podiums, 124 laps in the lead so far this season. Second most of the season. I mean, put a pound on who's in first place in that stat. But I mean, I was very surprised when I seen that stat. 124 laps, he's been in the lead. He's led the races this season, and he hasn't won a race. Very, very shocking. That's something he needs to improve. Certainly, he needs to win a Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc, this season. So, but I have been impressed with Leclerc this season so far. He has done very well going up with Ferrari. It's not easy just to jump ship from a lower team to a team like Ferrari. He's done well. He's adapted very, very well, and he will do better in the future. Certainly a future world champion. So the head-to-heads, Sebastian Vettel, Charles Leclerc, it's a draw, 6-all in qualifying. In the race, it's 8-4 to Sebastian. And in the points, it's 156 points to Sebastian, and 132 points to Charles. So I am so far Ferrari. The car, it's not as good. It's not as good as what they want it to be. But there is certainly room for improvement. I am expecting a better second half of the season for Ferrari, and I am expecting a race win at least from one of their drivers. Yeah, it's happened again. We lost Lyle's last part of when I was just about to hand over to him to talk about Ferrari, and then lead on to Mercedes. Yeah, we lost that part, which is very, very annoying to happen twice in 2 days. It happened in yesterday's episode, towards the end of that one, and it's happened again. Apologies as well. You know, it's a bit embarrassing, a bit of like a rookie error, but at the same time, it's just one of them things, isn't it, where the files just don't seem to save or whatever, and it's annoying because we didn't even realize. Otherwise we would have stopped and then did it again. But basically, we were just talking about we were going to talk about Mercedes. We gave Hamilton an A star and Bottas a B. On their seasons. I mean, like, Mercedes, to be fair, have had a really good season so far. I mean, everybody knows that. Amazing start of the season, the 1-2s all the way up until the Spanish Grand Prix, then got a 1-3 in Monaco. And that's kind of when Bottas' form more or less dipped off in a way, like a second place in France, third place in Austria. Around that point, hasn't picked up a race win since Azerbaijan in his past 2 races, a retirement in Germany and his 8th place in Hungary. Under review, as like I said, there's no confirmation as to whether he's still there or not. Hamilton, on the other hand, I mean, wow, to be fair, second place in Australia, then got 2 wins in a row. Second place in Azerbaijan, then went on an amazing run of 5 wins in a row in Spain, Monaco, Canada, and France. That's 4. I'm not 5. Hey, my word. And in Austria, got that 5th place and then won in the British Grand Prix, and is currently the race winner in Hungary, and coming off the back, you know, massive lead over Valtteri Bottas, coming off the summer break in fine form. Let's be fair. Let's be fair with that one. And yeah, I think that's where I'm just going to quickly wrap up this video. Thank you very much for watching. A bit of a weird ending, I know, and just hearing my voice. To be fair, it's been a very good experience doing this kind of video. It's something very different that we've done. We did this video, I think, we did this spread out in about a few hours. So like, we recorded one segment, quickly had a bit of like a 5-10 minute break, and then we did another video straight away, and it was quite exhausting, I'm not gonna lie, but it was fun nevertheless. And I hope you guys did enjoy the little segments that the little graphics that you've seen at the bottom of the screen. Something new, something different to see, isn't it? You've all seen half-term reports and mid-season reviews and all this before. I just hope it's something a little bit different for you guys. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching as well, and if you're new around here, then please subscribe as well. We do enjoy your subscriptions. We are on the road to 1,000. I mean, that is something I would never ever thought I would actually say. If we hit 1,000, I don't know what I would do. If I'm totally honest with you, it would be incredible. It would be absolutely incredible. But yes, thank you very much if you have subscribed already, and if you are new to the channel, then welcome aboard. It's nice seeing you. Hope you have enjoyed your first experience of the F1 debate, your first experience. Wow, bit of a weird one to say, but nevertheless. Anyways, guys, yes, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out our videos next week, because guess what happens next week, guys? It's Grand Prix week. Oh, thank God for that. We've got reviews, previews, and we've got reviews as well as the F1 debate show, and a couple of new videos coming your way very soon. Different style of videos as well. And then we're going to have a couple of guests on as well, which I'm so looking forward to as well. So hopefully you'll stick around for that to see who will appear on the F1 debate show for the remainder of the season. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in the next one.